I want to testify in Smith's defence.
I thought you said none of the officers had anything to add to this inquiry.
Mrs. Davidson doesn't know anything about this. I've only just decided to come forward myself. You see, I was a prisoner here for a while. I know how Officer Ferguson conducts herself when she thinks no one's looking.
She told him everything.
Everything?
Everything she knew, bless her little cotton socks.
So you got off?
Oh, not really. She couldn't prove anything. It was only hearsay, but her being a screw made all the difference.
So what did you get?
18 months for assault and 6 months for willful damage.
Oh, that sounds like an awful lot,
Not
Lee.
really. The VJ made it concurrent with the sentence I'm serving now, so it's no extra time at all, really. It does affect my parole, of course, but for a minute there I thought they were going to throw away the key. So I wouldn't panic if I were you, Chrissy. Could have been a hell of a lot worse.
I hear you testified against me.
Had your ear to the door, did you?
It's certainly nice to know what you think of solidarity between officers.
You had it coming.
I won't forget this.
You don't scare me. And if I were you, I wouldn't waste my time making threats. Why don't you resign before you're kicked out?
I've got 3 months concurrent.
Oh,
Hey, he also told me I should have nothing to do with the likes of you. Bad company, it would seem.
Bit hard in there.
You were real lucky Mrs. Morris spoke up for you.
Lucky nothing. I shamed her into it. Reminded her of what it was like when she was a prisoner in here. If it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have done it. If it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have had to. What are you talking about? Bea should have killed the freak when she had the chance.
Margot, why don't you quit while you're behind? Besides, you never know who might be listening. Go on, you lot, back to work.
It's great, isn't it? I stick my neck out and that bitch Morris gets all the credit.
I think I'll get out of this place whilst I'm still in one piece.
Joan? I'm not surprised.
Yes. Well, officer solidarity is one thing, but victimisation is just not on. The sooner she leaves, the better.
You mean she's resigning?
Well, she'll have no choice. The VJ will have to put in a report, remember?
Well, I wouldn't lay too much faith in that if I were you. You know what the department's like.
Damn the department. He believed Joan was running a book.
No. He gave Smith and Latham the benefit of the doubt, and that's all he did.
That's the same thing.
No, it isn't. There wasn't enough evidence for him to report it.
Well, if he doesn't, I will.
Look, Meg, when are you just going to let things get back to normal?
Because things will never get back to normal as long as that woman continues to work in this place. She shouldn't even be at Wentworth.
Unfortunately, she's an officer.
She's a criminal. It makes no difference that she's wearing a uniform.
It may make no difference to you, but it has to me. If my officers don't...
That's ridiculous.
Is the governor gone?
She's seeing the VJ to his car.
I expect she's got quite a lot to talk about.
Yes, there are 1 or 2 matters I'd like cleared up myself. Oh, Governor, could I have a word with you if it's convenient?
Well, no, it isn't at the moment, but I'd like to see all the senior staff in my office first thing in the morning. Would you arrange that, please, Mrs. Powell?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Mrs. Davidson?
Yes?
I take it the VJ's going to make a report.
Certainly, but it won't be going any further. I'm sorry, Meg, but the department
wants things smoothed over as quietly as possible. I see. So Ferguson gets away with it again. And if that's not bad enough, we're introducing stricter security measures to make life even worse for the women.
Well, I don't have any choice. And the women must learn that we run the prison, not them. Our record hasn't been very impressive lately, and if I hadn't introduced tougher discipline, the department would have insisted on it. They regard Miss Ferguson as an example to us, not someone to be sacked.
So if we all want to keep our jobs, we just have to kick the women a few more times.
That isn't fair. The rules are quite clear. And when discipline has been maintained, there'll be room for review, not before.
But the end doesn't always justify the means.
What's this meeting about?
You know as much as I do.
Well, I hope the governor hasn't changed her mind about tougher security measures. They'll be needed more than ever now that Smith and Latham have got off scot-free.
I'm sure Mrs. Davidson will take whatever steps are necessary.
Because I don't think we need any new regulations. Just implementing the existing ones will do.
For example?
Well, the no communication rule. Now, the rules definitely state that officers must not communicate with prisoners except to give orders.
Yes, well, everybody knows that's the rule, but it's impossible to stick to.
It is in here. What can you expect when some of the staff think more of the prisoners than they do their fellow officers?
If my memory serves me correctly, Miss Ferguson, you're as guilty as the rest of us.
Precisely. That's why the rule should be strictly adhered to. Now, if I were Deputy Governor, I would...
Which you're not. Okay. Let's get something straight. I don't like you. You shouldn't even be here. With feelings running so high, I would have kept you on sick leave until things quietened down. However, you are here. So you'll just remember, I'll decide what action to take, and you will follow the orders.
Good. We both want the same thing, then. A quiet, efficiently run prison. Because if there's any more trouble, some of us may not be as good at holding on to our jobs as others.
God, how much longer do we have to wait? This place is going to the dogs, you know.
Well, I wouldn't know. Haven't been in here that long.
Yeah, we haven't missed much. I've got a good mind to go over the wall again.
You've escaped before.
Yeah, not from here, from Barnhurst. And I nearly got out of the men's prison too, except that mongrel Ferguson caught me. She was just waiting for me.
But escapes need careful planning and friends on the outside.
How would you know?
Oh, just repeating what I've heard from mates. A few of them are ex-crims.
Name one.
No way. Anyway, they're all interstate.
Doubt whether you'll have time to drink that. Mrs. Davidson wants the meeting as soon as the women are at work.
Do you know what it's about?
She mentioned something about giving them an inducement to behave. Did she say anything to you last night?
The only inducement she mentioned was a big stick.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame her. Something has to be done.
You know what should be done, and that's to get rid of Joan.
Not without causing a scandal. My God. She'd bring the union and the department into it.
So what? I've got nothing to hide. Have you?
No, of course I haven't. Come on, we all bend the rules occasionally. Now, what about the no communication rule? When was that last enforced?
Well, never, thank God.
There you go. Now, that rule clearly states that officers shouldn't get involved with the prisoners.
I noticed you were pretty concerned with Susie Driscoll when she was in here.
Yes, and with Carol Lewis. And I remember you didn't exactly approve of that.
Now, that was different.
Not to mention Steve Faulkner's involvement with Sandy Edwards, Joan Ferguson with Hannah Simpson. You could go on forever. Also, Meg, if you hadn't got involved with Judy Bryant and the halfway house, ended up doing time in here yourself. Perhaps there just shouldn't be any communication between the officers and the prisoners.
Colleen, all relationships need communication.
We're not here for relationships. We're custodians, not social workers.
Keepers, you mean? We might as well be working in a zoo.
What's the hold-up?
I'll be here soon enough.
Ben, I've been thinking, we've got to do something for Mrs. M. I mean, we owe her one, don't we?
What for? I made her do it.
Oh, that's what you say. If it wasn't for her, we'd be in solitary by now. Probably for months. We've got to say something, Ben.
Yeah, that's right.
No, you'll do nothing. Don't suppose she's very popular with the other screws for what she did, do you? You start being nice to her, they'll really have it in for her.
3 cheers for Mrs. M, eh? Hip, hip, hooray!
Quiet! Hooray! Quiet! Hooray! A lot of you, listen, if there's any more of this, you'll all be on report. Now get in your line up.
I told you to shut up.
I was only trying... Latham!
Right. You see what happens? They are deliberately trying to cause trouble between you and the other officers. You only have to look at Gaffney to see that.
Well, I hope you lot are satisfied. You never listen, do you?
Oh, it was Margot who started.
Margot is a moron. What do you expect? Hell, I had just finished telling you not to do anything.
Didn't hear you say anything.
What are you, deaf as well as stupid?
I was thinking about something else.
Oh, well, there's a first time for everything. Care to tell me what you were thinking about?
It's her. If this is her first time inside, I am the Queen of England. We were talking about escaping before, and she knew all about it. Reckon some ex-crewmates told her.
And why would she lie?
Well, she could be a plant from the